up and away and back to Florida for some record hunting. Fortunately, it's an easy up and down from Chicago. You just jump on a plane, get up in the air, and fortunately, these are routine routes. Drop it back down in Florida, and the whole idea is to get in town before the sun sets, grab a bite to eat, and get up early the next day for some record hunting. All right, on my way to another record store. Beautiful day in paradise, back down in Florida. So let's see what we got in store. Looking for 45. I'm cruising north on a beautiful little road called A1A. It's a coastal little highway without many lights, and the speed limit is 45. So I got a good feeling about this trip. Out of A1A, which goes right up the Atlantic coast. We're going over this little inlet right here, and people are fishing and enjoying outdoors, and that's what it's all about. All right, Detroit Bob, on our way to a record store in a place called Satellite Beach. All right, we're at a place called Satellite Beach, and I'm looking for a place called Beachside Retro and Records. So it's right up the beach here, and we'll check it out and see what it's all about. Looks like it's in this little plaza here, so we'll see. All right, I'm pulling into this plaza and looking for a place called Beachside Records, and it should be around here somewhere. All right, here it is, Beachside Retro. Let's check it out. I called this place earlier and they said they had 45s, so I hope they come through. All right, here it is, Beachside Retro and Records. And I called these guys earlier. They were really nice over the phone, and I asked if they had any 45s.
Hey, Detroit Bob.
Hey, how's it going, you guys?
Welcome.
So when I called on the phone, you said you had some 45s.
Thousands.
Okay, why don't you show me where we're at, and I'll start digging through. Cool. This place is wild. How long you been here?
About 5 years.
Yeah, cool. I just came up all the A1A all the way up from Fort Pierce.
Nice. So some of our like more nicer ones, like with the picture sleeves, we have some priced over here.
Cool.
We got some over here, and
Awesome.
then like the digging variety.
Yeah.
We got them like down here,
Awesome.
and then there's a whole bunch down here.
Cool.
And then we got some down here.
Oh, I love it.
Tons to dig through, and
All
then
right.
we have some over here too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, I'm going to go grab my list, and I'll just start digging and see what I come up with. Sounds cool.
This is a good box. Yeah, over there.
Okay, yeah.
Right here.
These right here. Yeah, you pointed those out.
Right here?
Right there. Oh.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Tons. We have tons.
Oh, man.
We're here till 8 p.m.
Yeah.
So.
I might be here till 8 p.m.
Yeah.
All right, let me go grab my list. I had to go back in the car to get my list, which is A to Z, basically the Northern Soul Top 500. So I figured that would be a good place to start. A listener sent this to me, and I carry it with me everywhere I go. This looks like as good a place as any to start. Gotta love the price. All right, first impressions. The shop is clean. The owner, Joe, is helpful, and they've got a lot of 45s. I'm looking at country, so it's really not what I came in looking for, but I'll take some Loretta Lynn, some Merle Haggard, and some obscure little country gems that jump out at me. These are packed in here pretty tight, but I'm glad that I'm not down on the ground crawling around. I might get a gem or two. Loretta Lynn, Rated X, great song, covered by the White Stripes.
like I said, I think Merle Haggard just had that voice. He's like an American sort of folk hero. I don't even really consider him country, but I know he is. Anything by George Jones I love. I think Johnny Cash is great, but I've got most of his stuff, so I'm not going to be picking up a lot of Johnny Cash unless it's on a rare, obscure label. And pop country don't really have much use for. But it's almost as if a country radio station just dropped off this whole box. I mean, that's how sort of narrow this genre is that I'm looking at right here. So I'm trying to go through these quick. I sped it up a little bit for the viewers' pleasure. Not that they're bad songs or anything, but there's a lot of 70s and 80s country that, I'm not going to do a deep dive in it, but I definitely don't want to miss that occasional gem. So first impressions are always good. I like the price, too. If I'm coming in at $1, chances are I can bargain these down to 50 cents or 25 cents a piece. If I'm at $3 or $4 per record and I'm not finding anything that I like, well, I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this box. So I figured, at the price, I can take a little time, go through the whole thing, and see what I come up with. Everything in here seems to be 70s to 80s. And once again, look at the labels. You got the more modern graphics. Yes, they're sleeved, which is good for condition, but you can see everything's shoved in here pretty tight. There's your rainbow MCA label, definitely more modern. You don't see any of the 2 vertical stripes, maybe on that London there, but most of them are the newer swirl. Some of those Columbia swirls, or those Capitol swirls with the red and the yellow, are sort of obscure, so keep your eyes peeled for those. But for the most part, nothing's really jumping out at me, so I'm going to zip through these pretty quick. As far as the location of the shop, it was easy to find. Beautiful sunny Florida, driving up or down A1A. So you could easily reach this shop from basically anywhere from Palm Beach all the way up to Cocoa Beach. Matter of fact, if you're at Cocoa Beach, anywhere on the east coast of Florida, I would drive an hour for the shop easily. And that's about what I did. I headed north. I was close to Vero Beach. And it was a beautiful drive and a beautiful day. So you got to take that into consideration. I'm not in a hurry today, which is a rare luxury. A lot of times, I have an hour. I got to be somewhere. I got a meeting, or I got to pick somebody up, or we get dinner plans, whatever the case may be. But my heart was beating pretty good when I walked into the door, and that's sort of I get a weird vibe, like, oh, this is going to be a good dig, or this is going to be a dud. I have learned, and in this case, I did call ahead. My big mystery question, do you have any 45s? Now, based on how they answer that, you're going to get another vibe or a feel for the place. If they don't know what the word 45 means, that might be a problem. Or if they say, well, yeah, we have some, that might be a problem. If, like in this case, oh, yeah, we've got thousands. That's the answer that you want to hear. And, some of them are old. That's a good answer, too. You don't want just new packaged record store day 45s, 2 or 3 in a little tiny box up front. And we got tubs and bins of 45s all over the store. That's pretty much what she told me. So I'm like, okay, I'm going there. And then the other record store just down the street, the hours said they were open. I called. I said, this is Detroit Bob. I got the answering machine. And I called and I left a message and I said, hey, do you have any 45s? Call me back. This is Detroit Bob. I'm a collector. No return call. So guess which store I went to. I had some cards printed up that said Detroit Bob, find, film, buy, sell 45 RPM records. And I use them as an icebreaker when I walk in the door. And it's like you hand somebody a business card, and it's like, oh, this guy's official, So a lot of times it opens the door, and the owner gets excited because they think, well, maybe this guy's going to buy a bunch of records, which I usually do, It's not just like, oh, I'm trying to find, for my wife's birthday, a copy of, Frank Sinatra's My Way or something like that. So you're not just a little... looking for some weird needle in a haystack. If you're a collector, it suggests that you might walk out here with a stack. Now, I've been here for 20 minutes. I sped it up a little bit, but I've been here for 20 minutes, and she sees that even in the country section, to my right here, I got a little stack going. So she's like, oh, okay. So the owner's noticing I'm going to be buying some records. As I'm doing this, she started pulling out a table and setting it up behind me, and bringing tubs over to the table. So she's lining up stuff for me, and I'm like, okay, well, that's good. And, she's anticipating my move over to the next section, and that's where I'm actually going to end up striking some gold. Some nice, clean, newer Motown. You could get into like Commodores and Lionel Richie. It's not really, it doesn't have a lot of value, but it's sort of like a hole in my collection. I'm big on 60s and 70s Motown, but I'm sort of interested in that period of Motown where, they were probably being sold or negotiated sometime in the 80s. How much did Berry Gordy get for a Motown? What, 160 million? What was it, 1988, something like that? But that it's an interesting period of Motown when you talk about the 80s, because, I think it's 1981 I started college, and Rick James was, he was hot, and, he was Motown. And then, all right, I got my little stack to the left, and I've moved on to that little picture sleeve section that she pointed out earlier. And right away, I find a Roger Dean Asia, pretty good condition picture sleeve. Now, I'm a big collector of Roger Dean. I have one of his electronic paintings or whatever. I think I bought it with some kind of cryptocurrency. But it's pretty cool. It displays, and it's limited. He did all the Yes artwork. So I'm looking for artwork as much as records in this section. These are all $3 to $5 pricing wise. I don't really, I'm not really zeroing in on price because I'm getting the feeling that they're just randomly priced $3 to $5. So it doesn't seem like someone's gone into Discogs and priced it, $11, $9. If you're getting odd amounts, that means they've probably consulted some type of pricing guide. And I'm not seeing that here. So I'm looking at these a little slower. I'm looking at the artwork. Potentially, I would buy something just for the picture sleeve out of this. And I'm not even thinking about price because I have a feeling I'm just going to throw them in the batch, and they're probably just going to give it to me for, whatever, $1 or less. And Joe hollered out halfway through, hey, if, you want to make a bargain, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm all about bargains. So I'll do a deal up at the front desk. IRS, interesting label, a lot of 80s punk, but you also got Go-Go's on there too. But I believe possibly there's some obscure 80s punk on IRS. Like I want to say, REM, maybe one of REM's early releases. There's everything in here. You get some old Gordy in there. And, you know, some newer stuff, and it was sort of, you know, prettied up, and everything's put in a nice sleeve. So someone spent a little time on this little display here. But look at this one here coming up. Talk about pictures. Now, this is an old 60s picture sleeve. I've never seen it before. Man for Man. Don't know the song, but, you know, their duet Diddy and Blinded by the Light later on. It's on an old swirl label, and the picture sleeve's in great shape. So if this might be the gem I get out of this box right here. I think it was labeled for $5, but I think she just ended up giving it to me for $1. So right there is your gem of the box. You know what I mean? If I get nothing else out of here. But I did throw in that Roger Dean Asia picture sleeve. And who knows, maybe I have the actual 45. I have a lot of Asia just because I love Asia and I love Roger Dean. So I saw Yes 4 times live in concert. So I actually have a thing for Steve Howe and Asia. So there you go. Done with that box. Happy the holidays right around the corner.
You got some country fans down here.
Finding stuff?
Yeah, I got a little stack going.
Cool. Yeah, we literally have 45 coming out of our beer.
You don't have any, can you steer me towards any blues, soul, or R&B? Or are they just all mixed in?
They're really all mixed
Okay.
up, honestly.
I mean, I'm getting some good country out of it at least.
Yeah. Did you already look at that blue bin?
No, I'm going there next.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there.
Maybe
And
I looked through this one right over here. It helps to have this little table here. That's sort of,
yeah, and if you want to, when you can move the
Yeah.
so it's easier to look at and
Okay.
pull and stuff.
yeah, if I could get that blue bin out on something I could look at, that would be great. I used to be able to roll around the floor, and now I can do it, but I just can't get back up. So where do you guys get all your records from?
We advertise that we buy collections, so
Oh, okay, so people just walk in full of...
yeah, sometimes, you know, I go looking for it. Most of the time, this stuff comes right in.
How long you been working here?
I've been owning this store since 2019.
Oh, that's cool.
And I worked here for about a year before that.
Got it. That's great. Yeah, I'll feature you in an episode. It'll probably air in about 2 weeks. It's called RockMine, RockMine, all one word. And if you look it up,
On YouTube?
it's on YouTube. I do a weekly episode.
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, I got Facebook and Instagram, but my main thing is the RockMine because that's I could do like a half-hour episode. I
Yeah.
go to a record store, I find the records, and at the end of the episode, I'll have like a gem of the week.
Cool.
So, you know, I'll find something here today, and then I'll go through them individually, and then a gem of the week, and I'll plug your store. Because you guys are here on A1A, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's your address right here?
202 Highway A1A.
Okay, see, you had to think about it for a second, didn't you? Your camera's shy a little bit. That's okay. No, what I do is I highlight the record store or wherever I'm at. I've been to all over the country. I go to France. I'm going to Italy next year. I've been to California, San Francisco, Denver, New Orleans, Chicago, Detroit, Indianapolis. So, and I've been down to like Vero and a couple of your competitors down there.
Well,
But,
we,
yeah, what's your?
we get 45s in all the time, so I can message you when we get like a new haul in and stuff.
That would be great
Do
because.
you buy lots of 45s?
Yeah, I will. You know, let's say you just had
Because people call in all the time, and right now I'm telling them I don't take 45.
Right.
So I can give them,
Yeah.
I can refer them to you if
Yeah.
that's what you want.
definitely.
Okay.
I'll leave you my info.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, just because we're so overwhelmed with 45s, I kind of like put like a kibosh on it.
right. But that's my niche, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why
Yeah, we've had a lot of, there's a guy that, he's a snowbird. He comes in from, I think, like Ottawa
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Every year he comes and goes through all of our 45s, and he's always finding cool stuff.
Yeah.
And, he'll stay here for like 3 days. He'll literally go through every single thing.
Oh, no doubt. I don't have that much time, but
Well, he has nothing to do. He snowbirds here for 3 months, and his wife goes and wanders around.
Sure,
and
sure.
Comes, and he has a whole catalog on his website. He has like a website where there's like sound clips. He brings his own like little 45 player, and he like takes it really seriously.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is finding the records, the thrill of the hunt. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I do have some stuff on Discogs, but that's just really to sort and organize my collection.
Yeah.
All right, where was that tub? Okay, right here. Oh boy, get my work cut out for me.
Yeah, let me get like a little table.
Yeah, that would be cool. Appreciate it.
This tub proved to be priceless. And right now it's precariously balanced on a bar stool, and it probably weighs 100 pounds. So I'm being very careful. But Joe's great. She's already gotten the table, getting ready to set that up for me. And I'm just cruising along, you know. And I can tell that this was more of somebody's collection. It wasn't a DJ. It's not all the same genre. It's got a little width and depth to it. And I'm getting some sleeved, odd, wide genre material in here. And the more I dig, the better it's getting. So I'm getting into some serious vinyl digging right here. There is your Fontana label with the double bars. You got to love Trogs. I probably have a dozen of those records, but I just pick it up every time I see it anyways. Love Is All Around, Wild Thing, Girl Like You. Anything by the Trogs I'm a sucker for. But just some odd label stuff, some old, some new, some picture sleeve. I'm going through it pretty fast right now. Fraternity, Solid Red, looks interesting. Yeah, I'm probably going to pick that one up. You know your labels after a while. The other day I had someone yell at me because I didn't pick up, look at that old Fury label. I love that. Right there. I just love the look of the label. Stacks with the finger snap. You know, I'm going to give that a good look. Not as much as the stacks with the stacks of records, the old blue and black label. But someone yelled at me the other day because I didn't pick up Marvin Gaye's Heard It Through the Grapevine. And so you might feel that way about a record you see in my show. You know, why didn't you get that, Detroit Bob? It's a great song. Well, there's a couple reasons why. Number one, I probably already have it. Number two, maybe the condition wasn't as good as what I would look for. So I'm not a lifelong collector of 45s. I've only been at it. I'm a lifelong collector of music and cassettes and CDs and vinyl. But 45s are my new little niche, I would say, within the last 5 years. So I would like to think that I meet most of you halfway. So there's serious collectors that are going to yell at me because I did buy something and the condition wasn't good or the rarity wasn't high enough. And then there's beginning collectors that are going to yell at me because I didn't buy something that they thought was a great record. And I get it. You know, hopefully I meet you guys halfway in that sweet spot. So the beginning collector can watch this and say, oh, okay, this is how I get started, you know. And the advanced collector can say, oh, wow, there are some gems still left out there in the wild. And there's guys like Detroit Bob that are crazy enough to go out there and dig through the boxes. You know, I love the whole Northern Soul phenomenon that, you know, this is like a subculture that got created around primarily American R&B records in Northern England. And then someone went and created lists and multiple lists of great 45s that got ingrained into 60s, 70s, 80s, and even 90s in modern dance culture. Look at that old Argo label, man. You got to know that label. That's a subsidiary of Chess that had and that's just, the condition on that was junk, but Illinois' Jackette, that's an expensive record. I can tell you that right now. So I'm getting into some good stuff, some oddball label stuff. Condition, yeah, maybe on some of these. But on an Illinois Jacket, on an Argo, I'm buying it in good condition because it's a placeholder. And let's not forget, a good record plays and sounds good, and it doesn't skip. So, if you got $80 ears like I do, why I don't need a $3,000 record. My ears are only as good as as they are. So it's like your eyesight and your ears start to go, but it's okay because then good records are good enough. And they can look like crap, but these 45s, remember the grooves are dug deep and wide on these things. They are meant to be abused. The beauty of 45s is most of the picture sleeves got thrown away, which makes them even more collectible. I mean, there's just so many angles you can go on these things that it's hilarious. But so we all have our little quirks about collecting, about what's right and what's wrong, and the way to do it and the way not to do it. So I'm trying to hit everybody. You can't keep everybody happy. I get it. But you know me, you know my niche, you know my groove, and this is what I do. But I'm getting through this box. And I also, another little tip, I like to leave their box, maybe it's just my Tetris skills coming out. I like to leave their box in better organizational stacking than the way I found it. What I love is when I go through a box that was just in shambles and it's nice and neat when I'm done with it. So guess what? The next guy doesn't have to do as much work. Just me. Maybe it's a little OCD, but look at that smash label. White label for the newbies out there is usually a promo. What's a promo? Something that a rep for a record company or a distributor dropped off at a radio station and say, hey, this is the hot new hit. And a lot of time promos would have the same song on both sides because once in a while the DJ would screw up and play the wrong side. And even more funny, once in a while the DJ would screw up, play the wrong side, and the wrong side became a hit. I'm pretty sure Stepping Stone by the Monkees was the B side. There's some other examples of B-sides that became hits because the DJ played the wrong side. And then you'll see stars, like someone with magic marker. This side, the stuff I see written on promos, this is the hit. Or they'll just circle or star or put a gold sticker on the side that you're supposed to play. Once again, idiot-proof, right? And so that's the 45 phenomenon. Look at that. That's a Joni Mitchell On Your Radio, I think it's called. And I just sold this record. But it's in a company sleeve. So when you list these things for sale, you put picture sleeve, and then you rate the picture sleeve. But if it's a company sleeve, that means it's like Elektra, and it has an Elektra company sleeve. Many times, most of the times, you have mixed matched sleeves with records. So you'll get an A&M or an Atco in a Mercury or an Epic sleeve. And it's just like nobody cared about the sleeves. And that's the beauty of it. Remember, you collect in what becomes most valuable. Look at that, something signed. It's pretty cool. You collect in what's most valuable is what stuff got thrown away. The reason, the 1950s baseball cards are so valuable because a lot of them got thrown away when, Cousin Joe went off to Vietnam, or off to college, and so they were just like bubblegum cards, I called them. How many Mickey Mantle rookie cards got thrown away? Well, these 45s, especially the ones from the 60s, sort of fall into that category. And look at that, it's sort of pretty wild. How many of these just are... I got guys that rehab houses up in the region, and they say, we throw away boxes of 45s in vinyl records every time we rehab a house because we don't have time. So if they go into the attic and if there's anything left in there, and guess what's left in there most of the time? Old records. Can you believe it? I'm on a roll, so let's see what happens. I'm really hitting my stride right now. And I got a big batch that I can zip through in sort of a flip technique, which moves pretty fast. One thing about these shops, at some point you realize, okay, I'm not getting through all these records today, but I'm gonna give it the college try. This is probably my last box here, but I'm zipping through pretty quick. There's always that little bit of panic, like how big a stack am I getting and how much money am I spending? Sometimes you gotta sort of put that aside and just go with your gut. And I'm feeling she's going to give me a good deal. And I'm going pretty fast. I'm moving pretty fast. But also, the reality is that, the list wasn't really helpful in this case because nothing's alphabetized anyways. So I didn't need my Northern Soul Top 500 list. But once again, it's good to have in record shops that are more organized. This is probably what I would call, basic in the rough digging, box digging, bin digging. So don't get me wrong, I'm finding some good gems in here. But moving on, look at that. That's an interesting label, double line, single color. And some of these, look, that's just rough as hell. A good plus at best, probably more like a good. But as I'm bringing it in for a landing, and you got to take into consideration fatigue too. I can look at records for an hour easily. 2 hours, you start to feel it. You start to get a little, your neck or your back start to ache. You're usually on hard cement floors. Sometimes you're cramped in a stooped position. And then you lose your focus a little bit. It's like, okay, I've just looked at 3,000 records in an hour and a half. And look at that. Now, right there, the sweet spot. Right away, I don't know if you caught those two promos that I just zipped off to the side, but you might want to tag that mentally. Lucky Records. And we'll talk about more about those later on in the episode. But the main thing that I'm doing here is I want to finish on a sort of a complete note. So if I get through this white box, I'm good. Now, sometimes I'll initial the box. If I plan on coming back, I'll just put RK or whatever, DB, Detroit Bob, so that when I go back to the store, I'm like, oh, yeah, I already went through this box. Now, I don't know if that really helps you guys, but it is another little trick so you don't, re-look through the box. I might not get up here for another year, but that's okay because there's that circled label that was on that Bang record. They probably said, okay, this is the side that the DJ has to play. White promo with the big circle around the name of the song. That's like, hey, DJ, this is the one you need to play. But you got to love that label. Bang, I always remember in the yellow version, Van Morrison's early stuff. I think Brown Eyed Girl came out on Bang. Help me out there. You guys know this better than I do. But bringing it in for a landing means getting through this box and then stopping at a point where ostensibly you could pick up where you left off. And that isn't nearly impossible. You could go to a record store every day for the rest of your life and still not find Beatles, Beattles, on VJ number 498. But you got to have that holy grail. It's your mission to Mars. Why are you doing it? Well, you're going to find a lot of other good things on the way. I'm going to find a lot of great Northern soul on the way to Mars or on the way to Beatles number 498. And I'm going to build that $1 million collection, at least value-wise. I don't care about the money. I just love the hunt, the thrill of the hunt, finding the rare, the obscure, the piece of Americana, the piece of history, the record that got little Johnny out on the dance floor for the first time, that gave him enough bravery to ask the girl to dance. the favorite record that you turned up to 11 when your parents left the house, right? The 10 records that you stacked on your 45 record changer and dropped them one by one onto the platter and watched the tone arm come around and watched them spin away. You know, the hard-earned 94 cents that you scraped out of your parents' living room couch and ran up to Kmart like Rick from Garden City to plunk down and buy that 45 of the latest hit that you just heard on the radio. You know, that's what it all is all about. And that's the beauty, the nostalgia of 45s is through the charts. So that's why they're so collectible. There's another one of those Lucky 11. So I have like a batch of promos. Like someone has a stack of Lucky 11 Terry Knight in the Pack promos. So tag that in your mind. You know, and they're all in near mint condition. I think one of them's got a crack. So I'm getting through these pretty good. I started off with country. I ended up with a couple decent picture sleeves, and this table and this white box and blue tub have been pretty good to me. And there's another Lucky 11. Look at it. So I'm finding the promos. I'm loving these old Cameo label stuff. There's good stuff in here. It just makes you wonder, like, where does this stuff come from? You know, you got like thousands of, you know, what I think in Florida, this is my theory. A lot of old codgers, I call them, moved down there from Brooklyn, from the Bronx, from Detroit, from Jersey, from, you know, a lot of East Coast doo-wop guys, collectors, hardcore record collector guys from you know, the East Coast. They bring their collections with them. And sadly or unfortunately, as these guys pass away, the family just has, oh, these are Dad's old records. Does anybody want them? No. Oh, bring them up to that record store. That girl advertises that she buys records. And sadly, the guy's lifetime collection just gets, you know, dropped off at a record store. So one of the goals is for me to sort of revive the love of 45s. Because I'm telling you what, man, albums are great. And I love LPs. But I think nostalgia-wise, you know, you can just blow the roof off of the nostalgia you get from one LP by picking out a well-curated collection of 145s. You know what I mean? So that's an interesting phenomena. You know, why 45s and why not LPs? While we're on that subject, let's talk about space. I can get 145s, which I will just in this trip, in my backpack. Do you know how much 100 LPs weighs? Try walking through an airport and flying home with 100 LPs. You're checking baggage for sure, and you're probably paying extra weight on that, and God knows what condition your LPs. My 45s will be nicely tacked. You see how nice I'm packing this box for her? I'm going to leave. All right, I got a stack. I could keep going, but I got to stop somewhere, right?
Okay.
What can you do on that? Get a sticker too. I've learned over the years not to talk while the proprietor is counting the records. I guess I just like to chit-chat, you know, but they're actually tabulating the total. So, you know, they want to count them up. They want to have a raw number of how many records, how many 45s am I selling, and, you know, can I make $3 a piece, $1 a piece, 50 cents a piece? I got a place in Hebron last week's episode where it 25 cent a piece, and then you rolled the wheel and got 20% off. So, in my mind, Any 45's worth $3. Scratched up ones, maybe $1. Beat the hell, 25 cents.
You're
So,
cleaning.
you know, it's just a nebulous thing. You know, you're probably going to get
Heck is
some
that?
$20 records out of this, but you're probably going to get a bunch of them that are worth exactly the 50 cents that you paid for them. So Joe's counting them up. I'm definitely ready to go back and make it back in time for cocktail hour and hitting the restaurant. So that's that. Oh, and I did find
Double
a
stack
little
here so you don't.
satchel of picture sleeves, and she threw them in. So that was sort of cool. And I didn't even go through it. I'm like, there might be a gem in there. He's like,
Those are sleeves. I'm not super interested in them, but if you want to get rid of them.
So there's 95 45s. What are you thinking?
I was thinking $50.
All right, that's fine.
All right. I mean,
Some good stuff in
Yeah.
there. Lots of white labels.
yeah, got some white
labels.
labels and a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair.
Okay.
That's cool. And then I'll, if you can throw the sticker in, I'll make sure
Yeah.
that shows up in the video when I do my review.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, come back.
Yeah, I will. I didn't get through that last skinny box on the far side, so. Get home and catch a little beach time and then hit the pub. Got it. Oh, those are gift cards. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we don't have any cards. All right. 49.22.
Okay.
There we go.
Very cool.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
your name
Nice
was?
meeting you, Joe.
Joe. Okay.
Yeah.
Detroit Bob. Look it up. RockMine. All one word on YouTube. Hit subscribe, and you'll see what it's all about.
Yeah.
All right. I'll be back in about right before New Year's, so I'll come back down.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Sounds good. See you soon.
Yep. All right, we got out of there with a big ass bag of records. Got some white labels. I got some promos. So I'm very happy at this point. Let's see what we got. I'll go through them one by one, and we'll go ahead and get back to the beach now. And but vinyl digging is fun like that. I know I got a German Beatles record, so we'll see what. All right, a great day of vinyl hunting. We're crossing across the intercoastal waterway and back to a place I call home, Lil Jim Bait and Tackle. So I've worked up a thirst. I got me some vinyl, and it's time to call it a day. So we're heading across to the mainland and back to the shack so I can give these vinyl records a good look through. I'll sum it all up at the end with our gem of the week. Cocoa Beach, Vero Beach, whatever you want to call it. The sun is beautiful down here. It's about to set in about an hour or so, so I got to soak up these rays while I can. All right, back at the ranch. A successful outing up to Satellite Beach. I'll tell you what, I had to dig, but the price was right. I think she charged me $1 a piece for 95 45s, and then she cut it in half at the checkout. So I threw the number out there. I think I got some gems. So I'm going to wrestle with these bags and records and get them in some kind of order and look up some prices and do a little review for you guys. So hang in there. We got a gem of the week coming up, but Satellite Beach, I'm very, very happy with today's stop, and we'll go from there. All right, re-immersion. Record hunting is the ultimate escape. I've just
been through 75 years of phonographic Americana, and I've dug bins and flipped through thousands of records in the last 2 hours, and I'm tired. Sun's going down. It's still a great day. And one thing about Florida, you rarely have any bad weather. So I'm good for this trip. And I've got 100 records approximately that will just fit in my backpack. And this has been one of the biggest hauls in a while. So Beachside Retro and Records is the place to go. Do I care if you go down there? No. There's so many record shops left that Detroit Bob has to find before the sun sets. And I plan on hitting them east, west, north, and south until I find that Mission to Mars record, that Ultimate Rare Beatles 45 on VJ Records, number 498, misspelled Battles.
All right, here it is, the gem of the week, Lucky 11 Records, and the name of it is Better Man Than I, and that's by Terry Knight and the Pack. Wow, who's that? Well, let's take a closer look. All right, let's take a look at it. Terry Knight and the Pack. The reason I know the band is because they were part of that whole Detroit, mid-Michigan, Grandy ballroom scene. Terry Knight and the Pack. The Pack included, well, you had the guys from Grand Funk, Mark Farner and Donnie Brewer. So early on, they were fronted by a DJ named Terry Knight, okay? And what caught my eye, look at this record. It's got the single color. It's got the double stripes. It's a white promo label. It actually says promo. The condition on it's insane. So all those things were looking really, really good. Turns out it's a 1966 release. The genre is pop rock. The style is garage rock / psychedelic rock. 5 have it, 14 want it. And I put it as a near mint. I mean, there's a slight scuff on the B side. But look at all these cool little details. 45 RPM, in case you forgot. Distributed by Cameo Parkway. There's 5 or 6 different versions of this with minor variations. On the B side, we got something called Got Love. I did a little research on these songs, and it looks like Better Man Than I was done by the Yardbirds. So you had this cross-cultural, cross-pollination between the UK bands and the Michigan bands, and I'm quite sure they may have shared a stage with the Yardbirds maybe as early as 1965. So then they decided to go home and cut Better Man Than I. I don't know anything about the writers of the song Hug and Hug, but maybe you guys can help me out. Got Love by Perry Knight. So I don't know if that's a pseudonym, but we'll find out, right? You guys are going to tell me. So great value on this. I think I listed it, and I think it's for sale. How much? Let's find out. I got it listed for 25 bucks. So not bad. Once again, where did we get all this stuff? This was at a place called Beachside Retro and Records. And Joe was the proprietor there. She was awesome. She brought out a table, and I just started digging right away. So if you're up in Satellite Beach, Florida, not far from Melbourne, check this place out. Detroit Bob, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you like all this stuff. And you can find some gems like this by Terry Knight and the Pack.
just by learning what to do. And if you want to buy it, well, go on Discogs, Detroit Bob under Discogs, or you just want to say something, hit that comment box or share it. Do you like these episodes?